Hi, it's Danielle from VA Lifestyle Design. I'd like to just have a quick chat with you today about how we actually approach the holiday period coming into the Christmas and New Year season as a service provider working online and supporting clients that are also, running online businesses. And, the first year that I was working online as a virtual assistant, it was just such a relief to actually be able to continue working through the holiday period, because for the 3 years prior to that, we were a one-income family. We just started a young family, and every Christmas period, my husband, who worked in commercial construction, he would have no income for a few weeks, or 2 to 3 weeks, because what happens in commercial construction is they actually shut down the site over the Christmas period. So even if you wanted to work overtime, you can't, and that kind of thing. So we would kind of have this forced income drop around December, the end of December every year, at that very time of year when you generally have extra expenses, particularly if you have kids and you want to, celebrate with them and all those kinds of things. And so the first year it was like, we can just do what we want. We're self-employed, and, the clients that we're working with have this, sometimes have this extra workload over January where they're getting ready for a new year. It could be a new product or a new service that they're launching or some special promotion. And so it was actually just really awesome to be able to work over the Christmas period. Not on all the public holidays, but, in between, the Christmas and New Year period and early January, that kind of thing. But, it's not always like that. Sometimes working over the Christmas period is definitely not the best choice for you personally or for your family. And therefore, you need to actually let clients know that you're not going to be available during that time. And you want to make sure you go about that in a professional way to maintain, their trust and their enthusiasm and confidence in you, and still feel really, really excited about working with you coming into all those New Year projects. So I want to share a little bit about how to kind of think about that. So I guess that's the first step, is just making that real, personal decision for yourself. What works best for me? What works best for my family? Do we need the income here, or do we really just want to take some time off and just step away from the computer and, have family time? The great thing about being a freelancer is that you have the ability to make that decision. And, your clients get that huge benefit of not having to commit to a full-time salary for you. For the most part, in most cases, unless you're a remote employee, they're actually delegating hours on an, as needed basis. And, they don't have to pay for office space and insurance and all these extra things like they would if they were employing you traditionally. And the benefit to you for that is that you get to make those decisions for yourself. You're self-employed. So that's really awesome. And you can look at it in a couple of ways. So if you've got like you're still self-employed, but you've got like a team-based role, you're being hired, you have a job on someone else's team. You're still a freelance contractor, but you're perceived as an internal part of that team. Then it might be a matter of, speaking with other team members there and going, hey, what's happening for Christmas? What are you doing? What's happening over the holiday period? And you work it out as a team. And that's how it worked in my first year. I was actually one of the new people on a larger team, and some other people that had been supporting that particular client for a couple of years, they were taking downtime because they'd put in, some big projects through the year. And it was a really good opportunity for me to step in and cover things that I hadn't been doing up until that point, because people were taking time off. So from our perspective, me personally, as in the career and also as a family, it just made the most sense to kind of jump on those opportunities when they're available. But if you're not kind of doing it as an internal team member on someone else's business, but you're saying, this is my service-based business, here's how I run my operations, you have multiple clients on different arrangements, then the way that you can do it is actually send out an announcement and let people know that, which days you're having off and what happens in that preparation stage. So here's how we do it, because we actually do take time off now from just before Christmas until that second week of January, like around the 4th or 5th of January. And so what we do is we put up on a web page, a private web page, a few details that say our availability over the December period. So there's a few things I put on that page, and I'm actually going to share the message below this video so you can adapt it, copy it, whatever you need to do. So this is on a completely private web page. It's not publicly accessible on the site. and it's just sent in a personal email to clients. So basically let them know what are the office close days, so all the public holidays. So is it Christmas and the next day, or is it, you know, the day before Christmas and the next day, New Year's Day, the day after, whatever it is. So the complete office close days. Then I let them know when we're accepting new delegated work in by. So that could be, for us, it would be I think it's the 21st or the 22nd of December. It's that first Monday before Christmas. And depending on when Christmas falls or when the appropriate holiday for you falls is, you know, some time where you want to give clients a deadline to say, hey, this is when we're accepting work up until. And that way, even if you're going to work, say, a few days longer, you've got that time to kind of be working under the radar. I call it working under the radar, you know, not with a lot of back and forth correspondence, just getting your loose ends tied up, completing any work in those final few days in the lead up to your taking time off over the holiday period. And then the third thing that I let people know is I confirm the fact that their ongoing scheduled work, all of their blog posts, all of their social media posts, all of their newsletters, all of their customer support is all going to continue on as scheduled, if it will. And in our case, it will. And normally what that means is we've prepped it all in advance, with the exception of customer support and social media monitoring. And so we let them know that that's going to continue on. So it's like, hey, you know, we're not just available throughout this whole period to back and forth and delegate work, but you can delegate anything up until this point. And, you know, all of your normal work will continue on. We're just not going to be, you know, taking on new projects until the 5th of January. And you're welcome to keep emailing us during that time to send through new tasks, so long as they can wait until the 5th of January. So if you didn't get notes on that, that's fine. I'm going to paste it below this video. But they're the important things: the close dates, when you need content or raw materials in by, and whether or not those other tasks are continuing on in, that are already going to be pre-scheduled. So I like to do it where it's a combination of formality and personal touch, okay? So, you know, I know some virtual assistants with multiple clients, they will use their email marketing software. Like, for example, they might have MailChimp, and they'll send their Christmas announcement as a broadcast email, like you would send a newsletter to a customer base. So they'll send it out, you know, they'll have their clients on a list and they'll send it out that way. Now, that's one option. I have a really, you know, a really strong preference to maintain that personal connection point with your clients. I want that to be kind of like a halfway middle ground between me being their assistant and us having an agency where, okay, this is the business, this is how it runs. I like to kind of sit in that middle ground, but everyone's different. Some people like to move more along to the, you know, professional agency, and some people like to be, you know, someone's real right-hand assistant. So we kind of sit in the middle ground. And so what I like to do is have it up on a web page, and that kind of gives the impression of this is how it's running. This is how we're rolling. There's no like negotiation. I'm not giving you special terms. It's how it is for everyone across the board. But I send that in a personal note through our project management space. So I would title it Availability over December, and I would say, oh, hey, I've written up our availability over the holiday period. Here's all the details, link to the private page. Or if you don't have a website, you could do that in a Google Doc, which is another good way to do it. And yeah, please let me know if you have any questions or if there's anything you want to check in about. So I really want them to, you know, take notice of that, ask me any questions, because here's the thing, a lot of the time over the holiday period, particularly if you are working with solo entrepreneurs, bigger businesses will often have already established any holiday promotions early on, like several months beforehand. But oftentimes when you're working with solo entrepreneurs, they might be brainstorming and conjuring up a holiday promotion or a New Year launch, even up until mid-December, right? So it's always a good idea to go ahead and just ask your client, hey, have you got any special New Year plans or, you know, holiday promotions, etc., if they haven't already told you. But, you know, sending this along will prompt them. And oftentimes that's what will happen is when you send these emails out letting people know, you'll get replies saying, oh, hey, you know, I was going to give you all this extra stuff. And, you know, you can reply back and go, okay, well, that's okay. Just get it in by the 21st of December and we're good. Or, you know, whatever. You have that opportunity to have a back and forth. So now's a really good time to do it. If you feel like you haven't communicated that in time to clients, it's okay. You know, you can, there's still plenty of time. You can make a decision on when you say, whether you say, you know, I can help with, you know, this ongoing work, but not any new projects until January. Does that work? That kind of thing. Okay. And then the third part I wanted to share with you is how to actually prepare for that. So first of all, you've got your ongoing tasks that you have lead time for. So, you know, blog posts, formatting an ebook, you know, scheduling social media, all those types of things. And so what you want to do is really be proactive in asking your clients for any raw materials you need for that. If your client writes themselves, if you do writing for your clients, or if you contract writers on behalf of your clients, then making sure you get any content briefs approved to make sure that the writers can get underway, or whatever needs to happen in the previous stages to make sure blog posts get published, landing pages get published, whatever needs to go out. So be proactive in getting those raw materials. And another part to that is when clients send you components of work that need to be completed in mid to late December, it's a really good idea to, even if you're busy, to stop what you're doing and review it kind of, you know, as fast as you possibly can, at least, you know, within 24 hours, to get back to them and make sure that anything that's missing is caught up. So if they've given you 4 of the 5 details you need, but not the 5th, go ahead and ask them as soon as you can. It's a good idea to do that all the time, but particularly once you've stated that you're going to be off the air for a period of time, then it's a really good idea to make sure that you are reviewing any raw materials that are coming in, even if you don't plan to start actually working on that piece of work for another several days or another week, or whenever it is you're going to actually be working on it. Now, for real-time tasks, things like monitoring social media messages coming in, or customer support through an inbox, that kind of thing, that needs to be done the same day or within 24 hours. It's a really good idea to just, once again, as I was talking about before, make a decision for yourself and for your family if that's the best thing for you to continue on with. If not, maybe the client can do it themselves if they're a solo entrepreneur. Otherwise, if there's a team that they've already got established, maybe there's someone else on the team who's able to do that. Or if it's you, maybe you can just be really clear with your boundaries to the client, saying, look, I can't take on any new work, but look, I am happy to do the customer support, you know, right throughout the holiday period. And you can just have an iPad and take that with you wherever the family is going, or wherever you know you're traveling off to. So yeah, making a decision on those real-time things, how you're going to handle that. And the other thing is like those big projects I told you about. So if the client's got a big launch that they're planning in January, or anything, maybe sometimes, you know, clients want to go away on holidays too, and they want to have work done in a big chunk in advance so that they can review it and check it off before they actually go, even if they don't have a big launch. So anything like that, it's up to you to kind of go, okay, well, if I'd like to have time off in late December, early January, or however much time you want to have off, does it make sense for me to put some bigger days in early December or in mid-January, whatever it is? Does it make sense to me to actually make my full month's income in 2 weeks? Because that's pretty much how we do it. We generally have more work in December and January, even though we work less days, and we do bigger days in the, you know, early December or mid to late January to kind of make up for it. And that's just kind of, it works for the clients and us, and it will really depend on which type of industry and which type of audience your particular client has, as to, you know, what seasonality their business has, if it's busier, because some clients, you know, do go quiet over Christmas. So it tends to kind of balance out. But if you decide that, okay, they've got this launch, should I decline it? Or does this sound like a good opportunity that's really going to advance my skills and I want to jump on it? Then you can still take time off and just put in some extra time early on in the piece, and your client will obviously be excited about that. Then they know that, okay, now they're not available until early January. And so that's a really good way to do it. And the other thing, just to kind of prepare for it, is to speak with anyone else that you are collaborating with. So that could be if you have subcontracted other service providers, graphic designer, a web developer, a writer, anything like that, then just checking in with them about their availability, because if they're not like a full-time team member with you, then there's a possibility that they just might have forgot to let you know, but they're about to leave. And so checking in with them. or sometimes the client has contracted those people, but you kind of have like a side relationship with them, and you can reach out to them on behalf of your client and just say, oh, hey, client mentioned we're working on this launch. Are you okay to do that? Or blah, blah, blah. And if it's the case that you're the client's right-hand person, perhaps you need to be proactive in finding some other contractors that are continuing to work over the holiday period if need be. Not always the case, but just generally being aware of who else you're kind of working with in supporting the client, whether you're very close-knit working with them or whether they're peripheral service providers that are helping with little bits and pieces of the project. And you can just reach out to them and, develop a relationship with them. It's a great way to actually be building your network in preparation for expanding your client base in the new year. And I found that to be, a really effective time of year to get in touch with those other freelancers. Sometimes when we're working virtually, the clients can have other awesome people that they're working with, but you don't get much time to communicate with them and correspond with them, throughout the year. And Christmas is a great time to, reach out to them and kind of build a relationship. You'll find out what other clients they're working with. They'll get to know more about what you do instead of just, being the other person on the team, and build your network with other freelancers. So I hope that helps. Check out the example template below this video, adapt it for yourself, personalize it and make it more casual if you are hired or a team member, and send that out to your client. And just feel really confident about your decision that you can make the right decision for you. All right, talk soon, guys.